Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Chapter 1, Walpurgis, concluding the meeting. I'm going to ask Diablo for his oversight on this matter. And so, I'll think about it, while lightly trying to evade the responsibility. Wahahaha. I like Carrera and the others. I'd like to see her, so she can come to my country as my guest. Oh, what a nice offer from Milm. Are you sure it's okay, Milm? Of course. Well then, problem solved. I'll send Carrera to Milm's country, and I'll team it to Dagrul's country. Freesan may be angry with Milm later, but that's none of my business. Let's just get this over with before Milm changes her mind. Well then, I'll send Ultima and Carrera from Milm's place to Dagrul's country in turns. It's a familiar homeland, so I'm sure Ultima won't have a problems with that. I hate that. Okay then, it's decided. Dagrul, since that's the case, make sure to get along with Ultima. He also gave the okay. Dagrul was about to say something, but we agreed that it was just our imagination, and the matter was settled. With that, it was decided who to send to Raminas, Milm, and Dagrul. The only question left was who to send to El Dorado, Leon's golden territory. If Guy's going there, why should I send one of my men? He can keep an eye on Leon, and I don't see the need to reduce my country's strength. That was what I wanted to say. Why should I reduce my country's strength when a war is about to start? Well, the 3 demon girls can be teleported right back to me if something happens, or at the worst, I can summon them myself. As for Geld, there was the reason why the construction could not be interrupted indefinitely, and Gabel was also Geld's bodyguard. In terms of simple combat ability, Geld is the stronger of the two. However, since Geld's main role is defense, it is advantageous to have an attacker. In this respect, Gabel is excellent in both offense and defense, so I thought it would be interesting to pair him up with Geld. As for Adalman and his followers, I wanted them to concentrate on defending the labyrinth. However, I was worried about sending Xian alone to Raminas. Her strength alone was fine, but her behavior was not. Adalman knows all sorts of magic, and can use teleportation as a matter of course. Adalman had met Raminas, and was expected to be polite to her, so I think this appointment was appropriate. That's what was confirmed so far. There was no one left to send to Leon's country. Hey, don't be shy. Your country is full of awakened beings. There are. But I need them to protect my country. You're worrying too much. You've got Valdor, so don't be stingy. Hey, how about that Benimere guy? He's good, right? Of course not. Benimere is a newlywed. Moreover, he's got 2 wives. Both of them are pregnant, so he can't be expected to take an extended business trip during such a critical time. Benimere is a monster, so it's okay I couldn't even laugh at that joke. Unless, of course, he wanted to go. In the days when lifetime employment was the norm, people would go on long business trips at the worst possible times, in order to measure their loyalty to the company. For example, just after marriage, or just after building a house. Most of the orders I had heard about were practically harassment, unless they had a meaning. In this day and age, companies that did such stupid things would probably end up going out of business. Anyway, Benimere is no good. Chick, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Then, oh, Diablo can go. I forgot about it since he's always stuck so close to me, but since I'm sending Xian, I should also send Diablo. If I sent away only one of them, they'd get in a fight. My real secretary was Shuna, so I wouldn't feel inconvenienced by their absence, so I think that's the best choice. Diablo. Yeah. He's strong, so just him is enough. Hold on a minute, Rimuru-kun. He started speaking to me with a purr, but I figured it was just a bunch of nonsense. That's why, I ignored him, and began wrapping up the conversation. We're in a tough spot right now too. I don't have any extra resources to play with. Even so, I'm sending you our ace, so I hope that you'll accept it in good faith. For someone like Guy, it's better to just tell him the decision, rather than to negotiate with him. I did so, remembering my past experience as a general contractor. Well, it's useless to think about it now, and the most important thing was to push Diablo to Guy. Bastard, something wrong. I waited for his reply with an air of dignity, but inwardly my heart was pounding. Gee, you getting thicker by the minute. Well, whatever. I'll just put up with Diablo this time. Phew, I won. I don't care who it is. Normally I would want to take Chloe, but that's just the way things are. Oh yeah, if Rimuru wants, he can come to my country with Diablo. I promised to invite you before, but I haven't been able to do so yet. Before I could bask in the afterglow of my victory, Leon made a suggestion. Even if taking Chloe is out of the question, I might consider paying a visit. Okay. I'll leave Chloe, but I'll visit you later, if the schedule permits. I'll contact you through Diablo, if that's the case, so thank you. To begin with, Chloe was absolute bed rest, so I couldn't move her. I didn't know how Leon would react if I told him that, so I thought it best to keep quiet about it. So, I decided to just accept the invitation. It may not be the best time to do so considering the current situation, but it's boring to just wait for Michael to make his move. As soon as I'm ready, I'll gradually return to my daily life. Very well. I'll look forward to hearing from you. Yeah. Well, if Diablo gives you any trouble, just let me know. I'll be there to educate him without a thought. Very well. I wouldn't hesitate to call, so make sure he's taken care of. Even though he hadn't done anything yet, I was reminded by Guy, and not Leon. I was curious about their relationship, but it seemed troublesome, so I decided it would be better not to know. With that in mind, our future plans were decided. Well, then I'm head over to Leon's place, so each of you just do what you have to do. Guy declared as such as he returned to the hall. Hey, so no explanation for us, huh? I received an explanation from Mizari, but I'd at least like to know what the plan is. Carrion and Free-san were the ones who spoke up to Guy. I thought that was a fair point. Guy is too hasty in his conclusions. He thinks he's the only one who needs to be convinced, so he leaves the others behind. However, there was no way that Guy would explain the situation properly. And not only Guy, but also the childish Mellum and Rammers, the sloppy Daggerul and Leon, and the uncaring Ramirez, were all similar, and were unlikely to volunteer for such trouble. I decided to be the adult, and explain it to everyone. This is what we just discussed, but you were already briefed on the enemy, right? Yeah, I heard the Velzer turned against us. Apparently so. And the reason wasn't betrayal, or anything like that, and so, this time I summarized the story, and explained the situation. Even so, it was a good thing that only the 7 of us attended the meeting. If the subordinates had also joined in, it would have been much more difficult to move the discussion forward. Guy's decision to anticipate this was correct, and I realized that it was his long years of experience that made a difference. Thinking about it, it must have also been hard for Guy. As one can see from the other demon lords, they each have their own peculiarities. It must have taken a lot of mental strength and difficulty to bring them together. While reevaluating Guy in this way, I finished my explanation. I knew it wasn't likely to flounder around like this, but it turned out to be more troublesome than I expected. Free-san was dumbfounded. It's not that she couldn't handle it exactly, it's just that she didn't want to hear it. That's true. Now that I've got the power, I'd like to see how far I can go against a true dragon, but I doubt I'd have a chance against Velzer Dono. Carrion made a fearless remark, but his forehead was sweating profusely. He was probably trying to figure out what was going on, and what he could even do to overcome it. Kahahaha. You said it, Carrion. Even I've never been able to defeat my sister. If you want to try, let me be your opponent first. Master. I don't think this is the time. If you don't take things seriously, Rimuru will get angry at you. Well, I probably should have been angry, but on the contrary, now I felt saved by Valdor's light-hearted words. While we were talking so seriously, the situation had felt so bad that it made me depressed. I see. Then, in order to counter the domination, you're going to concentrate your forces as much as possible. So, this Regalia Dominion be resisted. If your will is strong enough, it can be resisted. In Valdor's case, he was targeted when his resistance was weakened by a surprise attack. The original me would have been able to withstand it, but I was in the middle of a battle with my sister at the time. It was a little tough. It was tough, or rather, you were dominated. It's useless to try and pretend that it didn't happen, so I wish you just admit it honestly. While I was dumbfounded at Valdor, Daggerul spoke to me. Rimuru, why don't you send Valdor to me instead? I'm not a big fan of Vio, Ultima, but Valdor is a familiar face, and I know him well. He was suggesting that we change the dispatch subordinates, but unfortunately the answer was still no. Sorry, I can't do that. Valdor is not my subordinate, he's my friend. I can't just decide for him. If he's okay with it, then it's none of my business. But in this situation, I can't just ignore Valdor's wishes and go ahead with the discussion. That's why I checked with him for the time being. Valdor, you were invited, so what will you do? Valdor laughed but refused. Kukuku. Daggerul, as much as I'd like to go and rescue you, I'm busy as well. I have a job to do, which is guarding the labyrinth of Rammers. You just want to slack off. I knew it, as soon as I saw Valdor declaring that he would act as usual. Master. It was too bad for Rammers, who was crying out with watery eyes, but I'm absolutely sure that Valdor was just trying to take it easy. I see, well, that's a shame. Even for me, there'd be a lot of trouble if I was attacked by Velzer. It would have been reassuring if you could have helped me. Kuhaha, kahahaha, kriahahaha. Well, you know. A man as strong as me has nothing to fear from my sister. Too bad. It's a shame indeed, Daggerul. He's so obviously vain, this one. But well, Velzard seems to be really dangerous, and I'm glad Valdora said no. I feel bad for Daggerul, but my priority is the security of my country. Daggerul is right. I've never fought Velzard, but my gut tells me she's a dangerous opponent. If she comes here, I'll have to deal with her. You should be prepared to call for backup immediately, because you won't be able to do anything else. Milam, who had been listening to our conversation, made a very good point. It was a realistic suggestion, unlike the normally overconfident Milam. To put it another way, Velzard was trouble, and since it was unlikely that she would attack alone, we agreed that we should also avoid acting alone. Frisan and the others seemed to agree. I see. Well then, let's make sure that we don't act on our own either. Yes, do that. Then Rimuru, I want you to bring Geld and the others to me, as soon as possible. If you want, I can pick them up myself. No, it's fine. I'll explain the situation when I get back, and have them ready for you right away. Geld can be reached by teleport, so there was no need to rush. I was going to explain the situation to the executives first, and it shouldn't be too late to send them out after we had come to a common understanding. Then I'll leave it to you, Rimuru. Right. If the enemy attacks, I'll contact you immediately. That's right. I didn't explain, the Carrera was being sent, but Frisan doesn't seem to know what primordials were. I didn't think there was any need to tell her, so I ended the conversation peacefully. Besides, when it comes to stalling Velzard, there was no reason to complain about throwing in a Carrera. But what I am curious about is Michael and the others' purpose. I don't think it's just to take over this world. It was Lewis who asked that. Oh, that. It's the resurrection of Veldanava. Michael and Feldway are working for the Lord's resurrection. Ha. When I explained this, those who hadn't yet heard about it screamed in astonishment. The information was known to my companions, but it seemed that it was quite a shock to the others. Well, Rimuru's right. That's what a bear, my collaborator, told me. When Milam affirmed as such, Carrion muttered in frustration. Seriously, I didn't just hear that. Hey, didn't you know about it? I thought I already told you. No, you didn't. Well, Midley's just as guilty as me on this one. You'll have to tell me more later. As soon as I was reconsidering Milam, this is what happens. I heard that Milam and Midley had met with the bear, but it seems that their conversation was not well communicated. That's why we have to make it a habit to report, communicate and consult on a regular basis. Is what I thought. I'm not in a position to speak so highly when I had also forgot to tell them. Luz spoke with a thoughtful expression, while Milam and the others were talking. A true dragon is immortal. There is no need to worry over it, because he will eventually come back. Well, yes. It's normal to think so, but Michael is an ego that arose from a skill. Because he's an impossible existence, he must be thinking in ways that ordinary people can't comprehend. Rumina shakes her head, as if she doesn't understand. He, however, seems to think a little differently. That said, it's true that Veldanava has shown no signs of resurrection. I can see why Feldway might think it's okay for the world to die. He boasted that he believed Veldanava to be immortal, because he had fought him once before. On top of that, he said that he could understand why people adored Veldanava. But, you know, once you die, some of your memories and personality will be affected, right? That seems like a different person to me. As for that, it's a matter of personal feelings. I feel like they are the same person. After all, they would possess the same soul. I don't know. Vulgrin Sen also said I don't care if Rudra is reincarnated as a bad guy or a good guy, but I thought that was something I should care about. Ahahaha. You're still caught up in the stereotypes you had when you were human. Well, you'll understand eventually. It's not like that, it doesn't make sense to me, but from the perspective of a long-lived species, the idea of right and wrong may be just a mood of the moment. If that's the case, I will keep my thoughts in mind and cherish them. No, but then what would happen if I got involved in something evil? It would be exactly what the late Mirabelle had feared. In the first place, I am a selfish person. That's why I have to make sure that I don't act on my own and bring chaos to the world. I still like to do whatever I want, but I'm only working for a better world. I swore to myself that I would never do anything to make others unhappy just for my own amusement. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.